And some more thoughts about the Brett Kavanaugh nomination, which we have been discussing in this hour. Let's go back again to those comments by Senator Ben Sasse that I quoted with Jessica Mason-Piccolo. Senator Sasse said people are going to pretend Americans have no historical memory, and supposedly there haven't been screaming protesters saying women are going to die at every hearing for decades. Jessica, I think, is absolutely right when she says that this is a typical Republican dog whistle to misogynists everywhere, that women are hysterical, that, in fact, he used the words hysteria 1, 2, 3 times in 2 sentences. So he's really trying to diminish and dismiss the voices of women in all of this, because the protesters have primarily, although not exclusively, been women. And he said something else that I didn't quote in the interview with Jessica Mason-Piccolo, and it was this. Ben Sasse said the hysteria around Supreme Court confirmation hearings is coming from the fact that we have a fundamental misunderstanding of the role of the Supreme Court in American life now. Yes, we certainly do have a fundamental misunderstanding, and it's coming from the Republican side, and it is coming from all the people who finance the Republican Party. That's why I wanted to talk so much in this hour about the nexus of forces, economic and political, that is driving all of this. It's misogyny, it's fundamentalism, it is reaction against social change, it is hatred of women, it is the political corruption that goes along with the big money behind people like Donald Trump, and of course it is the personal corruptions, sexual and otherwise, embodied by the president himself and so many of his supporters. So all of that gets into this, and also what's involved in this, in the Supreme Court, in today's political life, that the Republicans don't want to talk about, is the fact that they have cheapened, hijacked, and stolen the judiciary at all levels, because they know they're corrupt and they're vile, but they're smart, and they know that that will affect our future for decades to come, long after they've all been thrown out of office, so or voted out of office, or just passed away. So they're really, Kavanaugh is just another case that's happening at all levels of the federal judiciary. What they're doing, they're hijacking the judicial process in order to put their self-interests and their extremist philosophy into government at every level. And this, again, is where Democrats, as per usual, have been bringing a knife to a gunfight. Actually, they haven't even been bringing a knife. They've been bringing, I don't know, a limp banana or something. But it's time to fight back. And I gotta say this, I did an interview with my friend Brad Friedman on Tuesday, where I was bemoaning the fact that they're not really being fighters about all of this. And I didn't like Chuck Schumer's deal last week with Mitch McConnell to push through a lot of lower-level judicial nominees. They are beginning to step up. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the hour, presidential politics has something to do with it, for sure. First of all, Kamala Harris asked a lot of really tough and smart questions, like a good prosecutor does. And prosecutors aren't always my favorite people, but she used her chops really well, and potentially backed Kavanaugh into a corner a couple times on things like, so did Senator Patrick Leahy, by the way, about the possibility that Brett Kavanaugh received stolen emails when he was working for the Bush administration. That is a distinct possibility, that he received and reviewed stolen emails, which would lead us all to say, but his emails, I guess. Also, then we had Cory Booker take the lead in releasing documents that should never have been made secret. You know, Chuck Grassley and the rest of them are perverting the entire process. Democrats have played along with it for too long. So I love that Cory Booker took the lead in releasing some documents and said, you want to throw me out of the Senate, go ahead and do it. As of at the time that we're recording this, other Democrats are following suit. Good. That's the kind of thing they should do. The political process has been totally hijacked and stolen by the Republicans in order to hijack and steal the judiciary. It's time the Democrats called them out for it, even if that involves civil disobedience. Let people know what the Republicans are doing, and as Democrats, let the public know where you stand. I hope we see a lot more of that in the days and weeks to come, because one thing you got to say about the Republicans, they're playing for keeps, and if the other side doesn't play for keeps too, we'll find some politicians who will.